You know who else won on Tuesday? Fani Willis, the Fulton County, Georgia District Attorney. She's not going anywhere. In fact, just a week before the election, confident that she was going to win re-election by an overwhelming amount in Fulton County, Georgia, the people of Georgia and of Atlanta having sent her to do a job, she asked an appellate court in Georgia to reinstate at least 6 different criminal counts against Donald Trump. I'm going to update you here about Fani Willis. She's unsinkable, and she has Donald Trump continue to be in her sights. Will the Georgia Supreme Court ultimately side with her and let the prosecution from 2020 go forward? I'll break it down for you. You're already here on the new Legal AF YouTube channel. You know me and my work for the Midas Touch Network. I'm still there, still doing my hot takes, still doing my Legal AF, the podcast. But here, I can't even express to you in words, which I'm usually not at a loss for words, how important it is for you to join us here on this new pro-democracy channel in collaboration with the Midas Touch Network. We need your fellowship. We need your community. We need your goodwill. We need you linking arms with us and shoulder to shoulder, not to sit back and look in the rearview mirror about what happened, but to look forward about how we contain the unbridled attempts of Donald Trump to and his thirst for power, and how we can use the civil court systems and constitutional law and people like Fani Willis, yes, to contain him and to control him and to bring him to justice. I'm Michael Popok. I'm at the intersection. Let me talk about Fani Willis. To bring everybody up to speed, Donald Trump was indicted in Georgia. It was the second indictment he got. The first one was in New York for for criminal RICO, for racketeering, influence, and corrupt organization act under Georgia law. It's a conspiracy statute. It still stands. But Judge Scott McAfee in Fulton County, Georgia, a trial court judge, did a couple of things that left the case against Donald Trump hobbled, waiting to see what would happen at the election, and left potentially the political career of the prosecutor, Fani Willis, left it hobbled as well. But the voters spoke on Tuesday in Georgia, yes, for Donald Trump, but also for Fani Willis in Atlanta. She's returned to her office. And now there's an old adage about, well, if you try to kill the king, you got to succeed. Otherwise, you have a wounded, pissed off king. Same thing for a district attorney. And if anybody thought she was going to go quietly into the night, or that Donald Trump was going to be her slayer, it's not working. Reelected. Now what happened? Scott McAfee, the judge, found 2 ways to disadvantage Fani Willis. One, he almost disqualified her and found that certain of her conduct was, in his view, untoward and unprofessional and unethical. He didn't like the fact that she dated another person in her office, and maybe somehow that backed up onto the prosecution, although he found no evidence of that. So he kept her in place. Donald Trump took that and ran with it, right? You give Donald Trump an opening, you give him any type of loophole, and he'll try to ram a truck through it. So they ran to state court, and they tried to argue that Fani Willis should be dismissed from the case, and therefore the new replacement prosecutor would, in effect, make the decision, especially if it was a Republican, to dismiss the indictment. That's up on appeal. In the meantime, there's work to do. There's wood to chop. And that's what Fani Willis is doing. Just 6 days before the election, she ran to appellate court, the first level of appellate court in Georgia, and said that Judge McAfee made another mistake, that he dismissed 6 counts, including a conspiracy to have people violate their public oath that should not have been dismissed. Yes, she had the conspiracy case against Donald Trump, but he dismissed one of the major pieces of evidence where he tried twice to have people who took oaths of office to support and defend the Constitution and the Georgia Constitution and their own job. He tried to get them to throw the election and steal it from Joe Biden, right? He tried twice to once to the Speaker of the House of Georgia to get him to declare the victory for Trump over Biden, and twice to the Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, in that now infamous phone call that was recorded, that phone call that had Donald Trump, right, and Cleta Mitchell, this lawyer, MAGA lawyer that runs all these election integrity bureaus all across the country, and Brad Raffensperger and his counsel on the phone, in which Donald Trump said, can't we just find 11,758 votes between friends? Can't you toss it? You don't want to be charged with crimes by not helping me. You know, that phone call? Well, Judge McAfee tossed that and found that it couldn't support the conspiracy claim that Fani Willis had made. That was wrong. That should be reinstated. He also found that she couldn't go after him for on some of the fake elector stuff or some of the stuff involving federal election law because she was a state prosecutor. So you know what? I give Fani Willis a lot of credit. She knew she was going to win on the Tuesday. So like the week before, she went to the Georgia appellate court and said, reinstate all of the crimes against Donald Trump. Now, she didn't do that because as soon as what happened on Tuesday, she knew she was going to win, that if Donald Trump won, she'd say, oh, forget it. Forget it. You know, never mind. I'm going to dismiss the indictment. She is not dismissing that indictment. It's going to have to be pulled from her cold, dead fingers. And I don't mean that literally. I mean, she's not dismissing that case. And what does that mean? That means that the appellate division, the First Department Appellate Division in Georgia over Atlanta, all the way up to the Georgia Supreme Court, is going to have to make this decision now. It's going to be sometime in 2025. We'll cover it right here. That's why I said, hit that subscribe button. We had 30,000 people join our channel since Tuesday, not leave like in other channels. Join. And we want you to be part of that too, because this is where we're going to be doing all the conversation, all the analytics, all the commentary, all the analysis at the very important now intersection of law and politics, especially federal courts and attorney generals and state prosecutors against Donald Trump and what's going to happen in the future, just as they try to do in the past. Thousands of lawsuits are going to be filed. And we're here for it. Therefore, you should be here for it, to try to stop the worst policies of Donald Trump from being passed, make him lame duck from the moment he gets into court. It gets into the presidency on Jan 20. So I wanted to remind you that Georgia is still there. Fani Willis, is going to make the Georgia Supreme Court make a ruling. Now, it's heavy Republican. 8 out of the 9 positions were appointed by Georgia Republican governors, most of them not MAGA, but they're still, listen, they still want a political life after they leave office. And so they're going to have to make that decision in 2025, whether Donald Trump and the immunity decision, because that's really the one that's out there from the United States Supreme Court, applies to the Georgia prosecution, or has she pled her indictment in a way that the acts are not immune, they're all private. That's going to be for the Georgia Supreme Court. Until then, Fani Willis, full steam ahead, Fani Willis. She may be the little engine that could, but she's setting the right precedent, the right blueprint to check the unbridled power grab by Donald Trump. We got to do it. We got to call it out right here, and then talk about the steps that courts and lawyers like me are using to keep Donald Trump as under wraps as possible, to limit the bomb blast of his next administration as much as possible. We can only do that with your hope and your help. We appreciate you being here. For the 302,000 people that joined in the last 2 months, from the bottom of my heart, really. And I take that responsibility seriously every morning, every day, every hour, with the content here that I either create, my analysis, my commentary, or that of the contributors from the Midas universe and other places that I brought onto the Legal AF channel just for you. But I got to thank also the last 30,000 people that joined, and thank them against, I assume, great personal discomfort or great personal attacks on you by people in your life for doubling down on democracy. I appreciate you being here, and I won't let you down. Till my next content, till my next contribution here or on the Midas Touch Network, this is Michael Popok, and I am reporting. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories, the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.